Well, it's back. Well, kind of, sort of. Let me explain. Well, hopefully I could do some color grading magic in my edit, because for some reason I just can't get my lights right. It looks, at least from here, a little dim. I'm hoping to fix that. What's up, everybody? It's PJ the Great. I hope you're having a super beautiful day. And today, as I mentioned, it is back. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about because you've probably never even seen this computer before. Well, you have. This is my friend Davy's build. This was the video that I did. It was the not ready for prime time gaming PC build, or almost ready for prime time gaming PC build. This is it. It is actually complete. The differences are he now has a Ryzen 7 2700 in here. My old Ryzen 7 2700 that I sold him, he purchased a RX 5600 XT. Is that right? I get so confused with these graphics cards names, with NVIDIA with the RTX and AMD with the RX, but I believe that's right. 5600 XT, he purchased that to go along with the Ryzen processor. And then he was using that old HP Pavilion case that I had that you see me build in like a million times. As a gift, I picked up this little case for him, because I knew with the upgrade to the Ryzen 7 2700 and the 5600 XT, that case was not going to do well for him. He was going to experience some thermal throttling. Perfect segue, because the reason why this is in my office now is because he is experiencing thermal throttling. And I'm not quite sure why. I kind of thought, of some reasons. I thought maybe, maybe this case probably still isn't that efficient for that type of a processor and graphics card. And it's probably not, but it's a lot better than that HP one. But as you can see, he's removed the front panels here per my suggestion to get better air in there. And he actually takes the side panel off while he's gaming to get better airflow. Now, the reason why I was thinking that he was probably experiencing thermal throttling is because of, as mentioned, the case. But there's a couple other factors that are playing into this. My other friend that I did a PC build for, you know him back then as Wear That Invite. He goes by Realmham76 now, which happens to be Davy's uncle. He told me that this thing was caked in dust. So, which is kind of funny, because in that video where I did his build, I kind of mentioned about clean your computers, y'all, because it affects performance, and that's what's happening with him. So it's not so much the case. I think it's more so not keeping up with the maintenance and not keeping it cleaned out. So he asked me what I suggested he do in order to help prevent this from happening in the future. Well, outside of cleaning your computer, I mentioned that he could pick up an AIO. That would help, because it's running on a, I believe it's called the Wraith Stealth Cooler, the one that comes with the 2700X and the 3900X. So it has a beefier cooler than the Ryzen 7 2700 non-X needs. So that shouldn't be a problem, but I did suggest an AIO, and I also suggested probably picking up a better case, or both. So he has opted to get the AIO first, and he'll worry about a better case later down the line. So we're going to install an AIO, and hopefully that will cure all the issues of the thermal throttling. But I'm kind of curious. What I want to do is I want to run a couple of benchmarks on it as is with the cover on it, and see what kind of temperatures we're getting on this thing beforehand, and then of course run some tests after I get the AIO installed and see if there's any improvement. I'm suspecting there's going to be an improvement, of course, because it's going to be one less fan in there pushing hot air around. So it should be an improvement. Let me show you the AIO that he's picked up. I recommended this. I recommended this, and I think I recommended another one too. This is the Cooler Master Master Liquid ML120L V2 RGB. Oh, say that fast 5 times. Hopefully you can see that. If not, I'll do some B-roll of it. This is the AIO I recommended. It's only a 120 mil. That's all he needs because he's not overclocking. And I highly doubt, well, I don't highly doubt, I know that we can't put a 120 in here. We probably could have put one in the front, but not overclocking, this will suffice. But I'm curious to see what it looks like on the inside, because I have to get prepared. Like I said, my boy Rumham said it was a hot mess, and he said he still didn't get it all out. Oh, it's disgusting. Ooh, y'all, this is disgusting. I'll get a close-up. He did tell me that he smokes in his room. That's not gonna do this any favors. I'll show y'all a close-up of this, but I mean, the fans are caked. The AIO is caked. Not the AIO, I'm sorry, the Prism cooler is caked in dust and stains from cigarette smoke. This is no bueno. All right, let's see if we can get this thing a little bit cleaned up and get that AI. Clean y'all computers, y'all. All right, I guess I could take this off now. All right, I apologize for the audio right now. I don't hook my mic because I brought this computer over here to my little testing station. I had to remove my test rig. I want to power this up, and like I said, I want to run some benchmarks on it and get some thermals and see what kind of temperatures we're getting. I forgot to mention that he said that the issue he's having is when he's playing the game kind of stutters and it causes him to die in games. But it doesn't happen when he first starts playing. It happens later into his gaming session, which is, you know, thermal throttling. So I kind of hate to power it up because I'm wondering if it's going to smell like cigarette smoke. But let's power it up and see. Sniff test. Huh? I don't smell it. Yeah. I honestly don't think he needed the AIO. Just because of his, you know, environment. He probably just needs to keep this thing clean like twice a month. But I would still highly recommend a case with better thermals. So I went ahead and installed Core Temp 1.16. I want to see what his temperatures were sitting at idle, and they're at 41 degrees, 40 degrees, no overclock. In my personal opinion, that's high, because when I had the Ryzen 7 2700 and I was overclocking, this were the idle temperatures that I was getting. So his idle temperatures are definitely higher than normal, and I know it has a lot to do with all that gunk that's in that cooler now. So I want to do a stress test, and we're gonna see what the temps look like after, say, about 10 minutes. So I'll be right back. Is it junky behind me? Pardon the junk. This is where I do all my testing. Okay, interesting. I just ran a 10-minute stress test on the CPU, and the temperatures never got any higher than 58. So now I want to do a stress test on the GPU, but I need NZXT to work. Core temp is not going to give me temps on the GPU. So I'm going to do that, and I need to install Unigine Heaven. Okay, change of plans. I had to bring it in here where my HTPC is hooked up to faster internet, because the only Wi-Fi dongle I have right now is G rated. So it was taking Heaven 40 minutes to download, and ain't nobody got time for that. So I'm downloading it now, and we're gonna see what the GPU temperatures are. But in the meantime, I want to show I was able to get NZXT installed like I wanted. Here you can see idle CPU 38. It never got any higher than 58 during the stress test, and the GPU is at 37. So I want to see what happens to the GPU temperatures while running Unigine Heaven. They got a decent score, and the temps never got above 55, so okay, we are finally back. We are finally back. Forgot my hat. Anyway, long story short, did a test on the CPU temperatures by doing a stress test on it. It never got any hotter than 58 degrees. Then I did Unigine Heaven to see how the GPU behaved. It never got above, I think it was like 60 degrees, 55 degrees, something like that. So the thermal throttling theory, say that fast 5 times, I don't think is the case. But who knows, like after like extended periods of gaming, what kind of experience you can have. The only thing that I can suspect is maybe playing at gaming settings that are higher than what this graphics card can handle. That will cause stutters in your game, and that's something I could chalk it up to. And this thing is like, it's not clean. I mean, the temperatures are fine, but it's not clean by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm gonna go ahead, and since he's already invested the money, install the AIO. This will give him better temps on that CPU. I will say this, that like I said, this is my old Ryzen 7 2700, and I overclocked this thing to 4 gigahertz. And I was sitting idle at 4 gigahertz overclock on 120 mil AIO. And I was sitting around 35, 42 degrees idle, and he's sitting at that now, no overclock, running at stock on an air cooler that is more powerful than what this CPU requires, and he's sitting at those same temps. So the only thing I can chalk that up to being is one of two things: is the case, and another thing that I'm thinking it is all of that gunk that I showed you guys and gals that's all over the CPU cooler now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this AIO installed, and then we'll check the CPU temps, because I'm not concerned about the GPU temps anymore. This should help those temps. And as far as the stuttering is concerned, hopefully that stops it. I'll have him report back to me and let me know. If the stuttering continues, the only thing I could chalk it up to is you need to lower your settings on your games. All right, let's get this installed. All right, so we are back, and so is my hat. Here it is. The AIO is all installed. Do I think this is going to solve the issues? Time will tell, but I did run at least the CPU-Z stress test on the CPU. The first thing I noticed is that when I booted it up, the idle temperatures were lower than they were with the old Prism here, but not by much. It was only by like maybe 2-3 degrees. It was getting as low as 33 degrees, which is a little bit more respectable than the 35-40 that I was seeing, especially on a CPU that's not overclocked. I ran the stress test and it never got warmer than 51. Once again, that's only a couple of degrees better than what this guy was doing. So all in all, is there an improvement going with the AIO? Yes, there is. There is a temperature improvement. There's going to be airflow improvement in here because you had this sucking whatever hot air that the GPU was pushing into the case to cool down the CPU, and then this one low fan excuse me, trying to push all the hot air out. Now you just have one AIO fan that's pulling cool air in to keep the CPU cool, and this one down here is still going to pull in some cool air to keep the GPU cool, and then this will push any hot air out. So I'm hoping that it's going to be an improvement. I'm not quite sure if the issue was, you know, just trying to play the games at a higher resolution than what is capable of this GPU, but the 5600 XT is no slouch by no stretch of the imagination, and he is running a 1080p monitor, so there's no way that he should be playing any higher than 1080p. So I'm guessing maybe, I don't know, I'll have to talk to him and see if he's been like fiddling with the resolution or not, and trying to play in like ultra or something like that in certain games where this setup is not going to be able to handle it. But as far as like a capable 1080p powerhouse, this is it. You're looking at one right here. So there shouldn't be any issues playing at high resolution 1080p on this machine. Hopefully the thermal situations are resolved. I'll keep you guys and gals posted. And oh, another thing I forgot to mention, I did want to mount this AIO on the back. I think that's what it's pretty much intended for. It wouldn't fit. It will not fit in this case. This is not a premier case, so they weren't expecting anybody who buys this case to want to put an AIO in it. Luckily, I was able to get it to fit in the front. So it's in the front. Don't Steve me. I know that the pump should be, well, not the pump, but the hoses should be down here, but it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working. So I had to do it like this, and I don't think it's gonna like kill anything. Anyway, if you like this video, do me a favor and give it a big old thumbs up. But if you hated it, you can give it a thumbs down. But no matter what you do, don't forget to click that subscribe button and click the bell right next to it, so you'll be notified every time I upload new videos. And the next video will be, I don't know what it's going to be. Oh, headphones. All right, until I see you in that video. Yeah, I'm tired. This was a long process. Audi 5000G. It's crammed in there. It's in there.